watching.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 2020 EGA annual meeting. I'm Marge Kelly, the Region Director for the Metropolitan Region, but today I'm also the technical moderator for this meeting. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce our President, Janet Noble.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask Maria Hall, the EGA Secretary, to call to order.
Okay, I'm going to do the roll call of the board members. President Janet Noble,
Here.
Vice President Marnie Grayley,
I am here.
Treasurer Jennifer Mullins, Jennifer, can you hear me?
Sorry.
I'm going to go on. I know. Okay. Director of Education Celeste Chalafani,
I'm here.
Director of Marketing and Membership Beth Lindsay,
I'm here.
Director of Bylaws Georgia Ann Lane.
Here.
Maria, I'll take over
Okay,
from here. Marge, if you will put the grid up so everyone can see the board of members. As I call each region director's name, I'm going to ask that you raise your hand so people can put a face to the name. Carolinas region, Carol Overton.
Hello, I'm here.
Great Lakes region, Wendy Lynn.
Hello. Here.
Greater Pacific region, Scotty Erickstrup. Heartland region, Susan Ritter.
Here.
Metropolitan region, Marge Kelly.
Right here?
Mid-Atlantic region, Donna Pence.
Here.
Mid-Eastern region, Jean Hupsch.
Here.
New England region, Sue Palumbo.
Here.
Pacific Southwest region, Judy Newfield.
Here.
Rocky Mountain region, Trudy Pohapachico.
Here.
South Central region, Sandra Harwell.
Here.
Sun region, Linda Dean. Tennessee Valley region, Vera Grimsley.
I'm here.
I'm now going to introduce others who are vitally necessary to this meeting. We have our national parliamentarian, Ruth Ryan.
Here.
We have incoming officers, Marge Kelly, who will be incoming as the National Vice President.
Right here?
Kathy Melville, incoming as the National Secretary.
Here.
Kathy Weigel, incoming as National Director of Bylaws.
Here.
From headquarters, we have Cynthia Welch
Here.
and Rand Duran. From the National Seminar Committee, the chair is Gwen Nelson.
Here.
And from the 2021 National Seminar Committee, the chair is Linda Busalacci.
Here.
The board of directors and these that I have named are live on the Zoom meeting. Everyone else is able to see and hear, but you cannot talk to us and we cannot see you, but you are able to see and hear through live stream. We solicited questions from the membership and we will address each of these during the meeting. The meeting is being recorded and will be available to everyone via the EGA website afterwards. I'm not sure how soon afterwards, but give it until next week. So welcome to the first ever video teleconference annual meeting. I'm now going to give the State of the EGA address. At the beginning of my presidency, I was faced with this huge question of how to best use the generous inheritance that we received from Gay Montague Phillips, a member of the EGA. I didn't want to hoard it for an indefinite length of time, but I didn't want to squander it either. Our decision was to invest in our future in hopes that it would pay off in a continued increase in membership numbers and therefore in EGA's existence. So after a lot of discussion and research, we are investing heavily in marketing, advertising, both hard copy and multimedia venues, increased education opportunities, especially online and via correspondence courses, an improved website, improved quality to the Needle Arts magazine, expanded opportunities for our needlework exhibitions, and so forth. Our three major sources of income are the national seminar, which, as you can imagine, took a huge financial hit this year because we issued full refunds to registrants. We paid for the items we had already acquired. And of course, we did not receive any revenue from the seminar. Membership dues is our second source of revenue, and we have not increased those since 2013. And the cost of classes, the price of classes, is our third source of revenue. We have changed our cost of classes for a number of years, even though our expenses for them have increased. So expenses are up and revenues are down. As a result, our projected budget for 2021 estimates a projected deficit of just over $300,000, which is eye-watering to say the least. Now, we could reduce that deficit by raising the membership dues, conducting fundraising events, or raising the cost of classes. But we are not going to implement any of these ideas because thanks to the Phillips inheritance, we have a reserve of $2.5 million. Fortunately, many of the big expenses are for the initial setup phase, and they should decrease as we move into the maintenance phase. In other words, setup phase of researching and designing advertising and classes, and then we move into the maintenance phase of continuing the advertising and continuing the classes. However, we cannot expect to operate indefinitely with huge projected budget deficits. So we, the board, will constantly be monitoring the state of spending versus return very closely. We are now calling 2020 the year we persevered. One benefit of the COVID pandemic was that it forced many of us to learn how to use the computer to continue to meet, shop, learn, and socialize. Many individuals, chapters, and regions are becoming proficient in Zoom and all the other ways to hold virtual events. Some are even recognizing unforeseen benefits. Plural members who don't live in the area and members who have transportation issues are now able to re-engage in their chapter activities via online. I hope many members who would not have been able to travel to Boston this weekend under normal circumstances are taking advantage of viewing this meeting from home, live and later by watching the recording. While I truly hope we will be able to return to in-person activities, some chapters are actually planning to continue to hold intermittent virtual meetings and events in the future because of the benefits they're seeing. The board of directors has decided that at this point, as of today, we're going to hold our March 2021 meetings via Zoom again, mainly because we risk paying financial penalties to the hotel if the pandemic continues that long and we're forced to cancel our reservations. So the safest thing right now is to say, we will do it via Zoom, but we'll take a hard look at this in January, February, and if the world has changed and if hotels are available, we may plan to switch to in-person meetings in March of 2021. As of today, we are planning to hold our September meetings next year, next 2021 in Chicago, in conjunction with the hopefully in-person seminar, mainly because we are hoping that the world will have changed by then, but be aware we have prepared plans we're in the process of preparing plans to pivot if we need to. Now, my biggest disappointment caused by the pandemic was that I was not able to travel to the regions or to the national seminar to meet you. My second disappointment was this huge variable that got thrown into the equation of, will increased expenditure produce increased membership? At the end of 2019, which was the first year we increased our spending on marketing and other issues, we saw a dramatic decrease in the bleeding of numbers that we'd seen for many years. Instead of a decrease of 20 to 50 members from year to year, on 31 December 2019, we saw a decrease from the previous year of 3 members. That was wonderful news. We were hoping then, we increased our expenditures even more. We are hoping that we're going to see an even greater change possibly even an increase in the numbers, which the numbers have been going down for many years now. If we could actually turn that around and see an increase of numbers, then we would know that we were spending our money the right way. Well, unfortunately, with the pandemic, we've got a big variable in the equation. Now, as of yesterday, our membership numbers are 8,038, and that is lower than they were last December. But last month, we were at 7,883. So in the last month, we went from 7,883 to 8,038. And that's wonderfully encouraging, because what it tells us is people are still sending in their membership dues and their renewal dues, and we're getting new. Our membership cycle starts in May, so we always drop in June and then we pull ourselves back up. And that's why I always look at the numbers in December, because by that time we have hopefully caught up with everybody who was late mailing their stuff in. There are so many variables swirling around now. I cannot predict what we will see this December, but we'll just have to see. Now, that ends the address. I'm now moving on to voting. All chapter presidents were mailed ballots on issues and requested to return them to Maria Hall, the EGA secretary. Here are the results of the ballots. We received 105 chapter presidents sending in responses, so that's a good response. The first motion we put up was on Article 5. The Board of Directors moved that the bylaws be amended to delete the words "every 3 years" in this sentence. The nominating committee shall nominate every 3 years a single slate of candidates for offices and elected directorships. We want to take that out to say the nominating committee shall nominate every year a single slate of shall nominate a single slate of candidates. And the reason we need to do that is we now have a staggered terms of elections. So we are bringing in new officers this year. We will bring in new officers next year. We will not bring in new officers the following year, and then the cycle will start. That motion passed. The second motion was on Article 7. The Board of Directors moves that the bylaws be amended to replace the word board with the word president as follows. After election of a new board, an organizational meeting shall be held immediately to ratify committee appointments. We are changing that to after election of a new president, an organizational meeting shall be held immediately to ratify committee appointments. And the rationale is the staggered terms require that change because the organizational meeting is only required when we elect a new president. That motion passed. The third motion, Article 7, the Board of Directors moves that the bylaws be amended to delete the word written in this sentence. Special meetings of the board may be called by the president at any time and shall be called up the written request of any 3 directors. Now, note, we're talking about the National Board of Directors, not the regional boards, not any chapter boards. This is dealing with the National Board of Directors. The sentence would then read, special meetings of the board may be called by the president at any time and shall be called up by the request of any 3 directors. And the rationale is we can notify board members of a meeting by electronic means. That motion passed. Motion 4. Article 7, the Board of Directors moves that the bylaws be amended to allow for electronic notification of meetings, as in, electronic notice of the time, place, and purpose of each meeting shall be sent at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Again, I want to emphasize, we're talking about the National Board of Directors. We're not talking about region boards or chapter boards. And electronic communication is more efficient, requires less time, and national board members are well aware of the need to monitor their emails closely. That motion passed. Motion 5, the Board of Directors moves that the bylaws be amended to delete the and Inc. from the organization's title within the bylaws. Rationale, this is consistent with the organization's change in name. This motion passed, but this motion conflicts with the laws of the state, so it is actually null and void, and the bylaws will remain written as they currently are. Motion 6. The Board of Directors presents the following slate of candidates for the 2023 Executive Committee. The vote is for the slate as a group and not for individuals. For Vice President, Marge Kelly. For Secretary, Kathy Melville. For Director of Bylaws, Kathy Weigel. Rationale, qualified candidates for these 3 positions. This motion passed. I am now going to pass the floor to Marnie Grayley, Vice President, to discuss future seminars.
Thank you, Janet. As everyone is well aware, National Seminar has been the hot topic for this year, and it will be into next year. We were very sad to not be able to meet in Boston currently, and we did form an ad hoc committee in early March to examine all of the factors that we could find at that time and make a decision as early as possible for our membership to be able to make the adjustments needed. So as we know, in 2020, we're not in Boston and we were unable to conduct that face-to-face seminar. We learned a lot from what we did in 2020. We learned a lot from our industry peers in 2020, and we have a new committee of very experienced National Seminar Director, our National Seminar team, our seminar team in Chicago are meeting regularly to keep an eye on the situation in Chicago, as well as New York City and Boston 2023. As we know, the world has changed. So we expect it to continue to change. And our hope is that we will all be meeting together in Chicago next fall. But with what we've learned in 2020, what we know is that we have to keep monitoring the situation. I'm going to let Linda talk specifically about Chicago, and it might be a little too soon for us to talk specifically about New York. But as our early registration did open on the 1st of September, our greatest hope is that all of our members that are able to travel are taking a look at the beautiful classes that are out there on the web now to be viewed on Seminar Central. Thank you, Rand. And we have not made any decisions about any changes to the face-to-face format. But as soon as that committee does make any decisions to modify any portion of National Seminar, those will be communicated to the membership at the earliest possible moment through all of our platforms that we have available for communication. And Janet, that's all I have.
Thank you, Marnie. I'm now going to ask Celeste Chelasani, Director of Education, to present our areas of interest in her education.
Thank you, Janet. So first thing I want to do is I want to go over some of your online options while we're experiencing COVID-19. I know that the vast majority of our chapters are not able to meet in person, and hopefully they have pivoted and you're doing your meetings virtually over Zoom. So if you are, I've had Rand put a document in the document downloads area that has an updated list of teachers who are available to teach or give lectures over Zoom. And I've also drafted a virtual teaching contract to help you with that. So one of the first things that you have that says a benefit as a member is our Petite Projects and Technique Basic series. So the Technique Basic series, they're in the document download area. We've got 4 of them. And the latest one is an Introduction to Blackwork Embroidery. We also have lots and lots of Petite Projects Golden Shamrock and Friendship Bookmark are two of the latest ones. And we also have 4 in the landscape series by Karen Rohan. These are you need to be signed into the website, and these are all free to you as a member. The other thing that we offer for members are group correspondence courses. Now, originally group correspondence courses were designed for groups to register. So you could register as a chapter, you could register as a region, or you could form your own group. We also have something called lightning rounds, and we offer lightning rounds 4 times a year, concurrent with the Needle Art issues when they get published. And these are the current ones. So what that means is you as an individual member can register for one of our GCCs through National. And all it costs you is $30 plus the cost of the text. And these are the 4 GCCs that you can register for through November 30th. I also wanted to give you a sneak peek of what's coming up beginning December 1st. And these are all brand new GCCs that we offer. And they'll start registration December 1st, and it will go through the end of February. Another option for you is our online classes that we offer through Online Studio. These are the 3 classes that are going to be registering next. We have Creme de la Creme, Geraniums, and Gold Work Bracelet. What you need to keep in mind about our online classes is that these are one-time offerings. So you need to make sure that if you're interested, that you register for them when the registration opens. Now, one of the things that you can do is Rand has set up on the website that if you see something you like and the registration hasn't started yet, you can go and you can put your email address in there, and he will send you a reminder to register as soon as registration opens. Now, another option for you is to sign up for an individual correspondence course. ICCs are courses, distance courses, where you work one-on-one with a teacher. And one of the really cool things that you can do is you can take a 3-lesson ICC, and basically what you're doing is you're working one-on-one with a teacher. So these are very intense courses as opposed to some of our other courses. So Janet had also asked me to talk about the path to the Master Craftsman. Within the education department, we offer education through a variety of different ways. We have our publication series, which has the Petite Projects and Technique Basic series. We offer online studio and extended study programs. We have our group correspondence courses, which comprise the traditional GCCs and our encore courses. We have our ICCs, and then we have some certification programs. In terms of the Master Craftsman, when I'm looking at courses and giving my approval as to whether we're going to develop another course, I look at them in terms of how does it fit with our members who want to go through the Master Craftsman program. So for example, this is the Counted Thread program, and the requirements of it, there's a cross-stitch segment, there's an ACC segment, a black work, hardanger, pulled thread, and then there's a finishing component to it. So for someone who's thinking about going that pathway, we have publications that are free that give you some basic information like our technique basics, and we have petite projects so that you can get a little taste of that. We also have our group correspondence courses, and I look in terms of seeing how does that fit? Do they offer work that will help you with your group correspondence, or work to help you master your Master Craftsman requirements? So we do have quite a bit of Counted Thread programs that work towards the Master Craftsman. Now, in terms of individual correspondence courses, the only ones that we have are Design for Needlework and Rainbow Spin, which is a color theory. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing the GCCs and the ICCs are these are both programs where the member can have their work evaluated. In terms of our surface embroidery program, we have quite a number of free publications. We have some group correspondence courses, and we have some ICCs. The surface embroidery program is also very complicated because it has different requirements for the Master Craftsman program. Our Canvas program, we're in really good shape. We have some great GCCs, and we just introduced our techniques for canvas embroidery. That's part of our ICC. Crewel, we're also in really good shape. We have free publications, we have some GCCs, and we have an ICC that's specific to crewel embroidery. This is for our silk and metal programs. We have only one petite project that's specific to silk and metal. We have 3 GCCs, or at least one's in development, and we have some ICCs. Now, as we get into some of these other Master Craftsman programs, we're lacking some. And as I look at proposals, I have to consider how does it fit? Of course, we like to add GCCs that people want to take, but I also have to look at them in terms of is it fulfilling a requirement for the Master Craftsman program? In smocking, we have a course that's in development, and we have an ICC on smocking. We have a quilting GCC in development, and we have a crazy quilting. Now, what I'd really like to do is get more GCCs in quilting and another ICC in quilting. And the same goes for our color program and our design program. So the next thing is I want to update you on our certification programs. So we have 3 certification programs, and because of COVID, we've had to make some adjustments this year. Across the board, we've had to extend the completion date for our candidates. For the teacher certification program, she's working towards her deadlines that can be done as a distance type of program, but the observation of her teaching has to get postponed. We've also had to cancel our Bobby Pilling Award this year, unfortunately, but we're still working. So with the Needlework Appraisers program, the big change that we've had in the last couple of years is that we modified our seminar class to 3 days, and that will enable our candidates to take both the 3-day class and the 2-day judging class at the same seminar. In our Needlework Judges Certification program, Pat Goley, who's the chair, has been working really hard to update different things about the program. She's updated the judging syllabus. She's made continuing education and volunteer hours mandatory. And she's also working on an ICC on basic concepts in judging. And that we're hoping will make it the program more accessible to people who cannot attend national seminar. We also have made some changes to the teacher certification program, and they're working on the policies and procedures to put those final changes in place. On our Master Craftsman program, one of the first things that we had to do is we had to look at the spring judging, and we wanted to make sure that the chairs were comfortable with receiving and sending out the submissions. And some of the chairs had already received the spring judging pieces, and they were fine with evaluating them and sending them back. And those who were not comfortable, we said that's fine. And anyone who had a disruption because of the spring judging, their due dates have been postponed. We want to make sure everybody stayed safe. Additionally, they've been working on updating the bibliographies, and the step requirements on the website. And just in this last week, they've been working on FAQ that will go up on the website so that anyone who's interested in the Master Craftsman program can look at it and get some of their questions answered. They've also been working on putting new pictures up on the website and the social media. One of the things that we did this last year is we conducted a survey. We've had, over the last 10 years, we've had a lot of people join the program and then they drop out. And we wanted to understand why they didn't continue in the program. And we got a lot of good feedback from that. And what we've decided is that we're going to conduct this survey every year so that we can understand what the situation is and hopefully improve the program. Now, you may have heard something about the Technical Excellence Certification Program. So the Technical Excellence Certification Program is something that we're developing right now. It's going to be similar to the Master Craftsman program, except that it will not have the design and color elements. We're starting off with 4 programs: beading, canvas, counted thread, and crewel. And it's been an interesting phase to figure out the development. What we've decided is that each technique is going to have 4 steps. And basically the first step is going to be a series of samples. And that's designed to test basic competency and so that when someone submits their first step, if they need a little bit more work in one particular area, we can give the feedback to them. The designs for each step have been approved, and the goal is to have those steps stitched by October so that we can begin piloting and then debut it next year in Chicago. So I wanted to show you, I've got a few examples of what the steps are going to look like. So these are some of the stitch samples for the Canvas Step 1. And this is the Canvas Step 2 program. And this is our counted thread Step 1. And you can see, if you remember with the Master Craftsman, how it has different techniques that are counted thread. The same is true for the counted thread Technical Excellence Certification Program. It's going to cover different counted thread embroidery techniques. And so the samples for Step 1 are some basic embroidery techniques. And then this is the counted thread Step 4. And the last thing I wanted to update you about is the Golden Needle Awards. So unfortunately, we needed to postpone the inaugural Golden Needle Awards until next year. The theme for next year is going to be the Magnificent Stitch. And Ellie Ames, who is the exhibit chair, has been working really hard on this. She's put a couple of different articles in Needle Arts that I hope you've read. We do have some requirements for it. One is which is the artist statement. So you need to look at your piece that you want to submit and tell us how it reflects your idea of the Magnificent Stitch. We're going to have some really cool awards to hand out, and I really hope that you participate. That's all I've got, Janet.
Thank you, Celeste. We now turn to Georgianne Lane, Director of Bylaws, to discuss her part of the program.
Thank you, Janet. So you've already heard of the bylaws changes that we have made this year, and we have a number of policies and procedures changes, and I'll read those to you. But the first one is about this new world that we're in, teleconferencing, electronic meetings, and we wanted to aid chapters and regions in what they need to keep in mind when they're having these electronic meetings. So this first policy and procedure has to do with electronic meetings, and okay, that's not the right one. I had them all my pages in order here, but I didn't apparently. So these are the things that the amendment says. The ballot must be submitted to the chapters 90 days prior to the meeting. Once amendments are approved by 2/3 vote, the bylaws are changed. Now that's not it. That's my other page. Okay. Okay, here's the right one. The following parliamentary procedures must be followed for electronic meetings, substituted for in-person business meetings. In accordance with established policies and procedures, members must be given notice of date and time of the meeting, send members instructions regarding entering and participating in the meeting, establish methods for determining a quorum, ensure all can hear one another, provide instructions for seeking recognition and obtaining the floor, for how motions may be submitted, and for voting and verifying votes. And the rationale for this was that this is a provision of policy for teleconferencing electronic meetings. And the other four policies and procedures changes have to do with education. And it's really kind of shoring up again and explaining things in the world that we're living in today. The first one is it has to do with each extended study program has a local coordinator who coordinates and arranges group activities such as restaurant reservations, working with bus drivers, etc. The local coordinator may be the ESP chair, the ESP development assistant, or a local student. The registration fee for that, the local coordinator shall be waived. The second policy procedure change is the teacher shall not accept any other teaching contracts for this project from the date of this contract until 60 days after the class completes. And the third one is has to do with student fees, includes cost of course, kit if included, and shipping costs. And we're taking out where we had said $5 for EGA, and we're saying the cost of the course includes a $10 administrative fee that is added to the teaching fee to cover EGA's credit card fees and other administrative costs. And the last one is registration. Students register via the EGA website rather than the online store. And those are the changes. That's it, Janet.
Okay, as we have done in the past, we will consolidate all changes made to the policies and procedures in the previous 12 months. And once that is done, they will be made to those changes will be implemented to the policies and procedures that are published on the website. The date at the bottom of the page of each of those changes will be updated to reflect September 2020. And we will post a summary of the changes made in the past year also on the documents download site on the page. So you'll be able to see what changes we made during the last year. I would like to keep Georgianne in the spotlight and have her talk about the next Through the Needle's Eye exhibit.
Okay, so taking off that hat, putting on my other hat. So Through the Needle's Eye is our national exhibit that celebrates the best in technical and artistic works while understanding embroidery as an art form. These are original embroideries of traditional and contemporary works of art. So we're really excited about our new plan. We're making plans for TNE that's going to be now moved to 2023 in Boston. So we'll all plan on being there. We have to keep in mind, as we've said all through this meeting, that the world has changed and TNE needs to change as well. So we have a lot of we think really exciting ideas that we're putting together. One of which is that we're thinking of having a short in-term in-person exhibit that would be at someplace other than at National Seminar. It would be probably at headquarters in Louisville. And then we would have a virtual exhibit. So we haven't decided exactly how this is going to look, but we're talking about it'll be a kind of thing where you can just check into the website. It's like you'll be there. You can go walking through the exhibit. You can stop. You can interact with it. You can get up close and personal, and you can see the stitching. You don't have anybody in your way. You can just do it all on your own, and you can watch it at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want to, and your PJs or your hair curlers or whatever you want to do. Nobody's going to see you watching, and you can spend as much time in front of it as you want to do. So we're trying to put that together. We're engaging Field Trip to help us organize this and promote it and advertise it and bring it back to what it had been in the past, the real jewel of EGA. So we'll keep you posted as we go along how that goes, but that's the plan for now.
Thank you, Georgianne. The focus now changes to Beth Lindsay, Director of Marketing and Membership. Beth, you have the microphone.
There we go. Just had to unmute myself. Thank you, Janet. So as Janet mentioned earlier, we had increased our advertising budget this year, and I just wanted to talk about a few of the things that we're working on with Field Trip, our ad agency. One of the big programs we were working on this year is revamping our new member kit. We have done that. We're in the process of going out and sourcing vendors for the items that will be in that kit. And what those things will be is, first of all, a nice little newsletter, which has a welcome letter from Janet. It has all of the information you would want to know about all of our educational opportunities that Celeste kindly wrote for us. It has a who's who at headquarters, just basically all the information that you would want to know as a new member. This newspaper will go into a nice little folder with our logo on it. Also included will be a tote bag, which is decorated with our logo, our tagline, and our line drawings from our website. And obviously we'll have an educational catalog, any other swag that we might want to include, such as pins, bookmarks, other logo merchandise that we have. And there will also be a sticker sheet, which also has stickers of all of our line drawings. But our goal with this is to send something to our new members that they will be so excited about that they're going to want to say to all their stitchy friends, look at this really cool thing I just got from this organization that I've joined. They'll want to talk about it on social media. And it's just another way of increasing our visibility in what we do, and hopefully bring in additional new members. So as soon as we finish sourcing those vendors and get that together, those will begin to be shipped out to our new members. Another thing that we've been working on are subscription boxes. This program is still in the planning stages, but at the moment, what we're looking at is a quarterly shipment. And in this box will be 4 to 5 smalls, even possibly smaller than small minis of different themed kits with really different types of needlework that you don't see every day. So it will be a really awesome learning opportunity. It will be, each one will work around a theme. There will be themed needlework tools to go with, you know, whatever that type of needlework is for that quarter. And it's going to be something that, you know, people are going to be really excited to join and really eagerly awaiting the kit every quarter. So we continue to work on that. We have expanded our hard copy advertising. This year we've been advertising in Threads magazine, and through that they also offered us social media posts through their social media and with all their followers. We're also advertising in Inspiration magazine. And then we're just developing a new ad for the new Italian embroidery magazine called Giuliana. And we've also increased our social media initiatives. Obviously, we are posting regularly on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. We have a social media calendar where we sit down every month and we have themes, and posts are developed around those themes. But to those, we've added Google AdWords so that we are able to track people in certain markets that may be searching for terms such as embroidery and things like that, so that we can kind of pop up into their on their websites and, you know, as ads, so that, you know, again, we're kind of following people that have interests such as us, and we're starting to target those people. Well, we are also doing that with native display advertising. And then lastly, we have begun sponsoring podcasts. Right now we're sponsoring one called Very Serious Crafts, and then also another one called Fiber Talk with Gary Parr. It's really, that's a lot of bang for the buck. That is not a very expensive post by any means, but it is highly visible, and it's, you know, targeted towards everybody doing exactly what we love to do. And I think that is all I have to cover.
Thank you very much, Beth. I appreciate that. And for those of you who are bound to be thinking, why aren't we advertising with Needle and Thread, Mary Ann Corbett on Needle and Thread? We are still on her waiting list. So
yes,
that is a big goal of mine, but I'm having to be patient because we're hopefully working our way up the waiting list. I'm now going to address the questions from members. Several months ago, we solicited questions from the membership. Once we figured out that we were going to hold this meeting via Zoom and with a YouTube live stream, we wanted to be able to solicit questions just like we do in an in-person meeting when I say, okay, raise your hand and I'll call on you. So we collected all the questions that came in, and we're now going to address them. I'm going to start, and there were 4 different questions from Heather Schulich, Raven Fagelson, Rebecca Smith, Joanna Strobel, all having to do with diversity, inclusivity, and equity. What are our plans for promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion? EGA has always emphasized the important value of including everyone who comes to us with an interest in embroidery. We are now actively seeking ways to become more visible to a wider audience of potential members and offering a wider variety of techniques and designs to appeal to that audience. Celeste Shalasani, our Director of Education, and Beth Lindsay, Director of Marketing and Membership, are planning several initiatives now along those lines. At the national level, we have contracted with a company to help us understand the many issues that face us on this journey. We started at the national level this week, and we'll share that understanding with you as we go. As we increase our exposure to diverse communities, we need you at the local level to do everything possible to make potential members feel welcome and included in your group at all meetings, classes, stitch-ins, and social events. Except for 3 paid staff members at headquarters and a few paid contractors, EGA relies on unpaid volunteers to do the work of running the organization. And as anyone who has solicited volunteers for a chapter or a region, offices or committees knows, finding willing volunteers can be a challenge. Fortunately, I now have names of EGA members who have volunteered to assist us improve our diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we will be contacting them shortly. So if you sent an email saying, count me in, you will be hearing from us. My next question came from Heather Schulich. Does EGA plan to end praying at regional and national seminars since we are a secular organization? We will certainly be discussing this with the planners of regional and national seminars. We are a secular organization. The third question comes from Carol Sylvester. When are members at large going to have voting rights on EGA business? Our bylaws state that votes to change how we conduct our business are by chapter presidents who speak for each chapter. In other words, no individual member has voting rights. The bylaws also specifically state that members at large do not have voting rights. Now, a change to the bylaws must be approved by the general membership, just like general membership as represented by 105 chapter presidents voted today to approve the changes to the bylaws. Now, members at large, you do have the option of joining the cyber chapter if you don't live near a chapter. The next question is from Cher Trujillo. Since we can't meet in person, are we going to get a discount on dues next year? No. We still need to conduct EGA's business, and we still need the revenue brought in by membership dues. Remember, we haven't increased them since 2013, and at the present time, we have no plans to. Yes, we're sitting on a reserve, but it is that. It is a reserve. It is not something I want to use to do everyday business. My last question came from Heather Schulich. What safety measures will be in place if seminars are not canceled next year? The safety measures for any specific location at any specific time for any EGA activity must be directed by your local government agencies. Decisions to cancel seminars will be made at the region and national level as soon as we believe we have enough information. It's impossible to predict a specific time today. I'm now going to turn the spotlight on to Marnie for her questions.
Thank you, Janet. We received basically 3 member questions regarding National Seminar. And I'll address Lynette Maton from the Atlanta Dogwood chapter first. Lynette asks about the physical safety of our Chicago location. And as we all know, Chicago is a full 12 months from now. So we are monitoring that situation. We do not have an alternative site. The alternative to face-to-face format would be online or a hybrid, which we are currently looking at as a possibility. And that would be to address all of our member needs and concerns, not just that of physical safety, but also concerns about the virus. I've emailed Lynette directly, and she's thanked me for answering that question. The other questions concerned Seminar 2020 and why we did not pivot quickly enough and offer our seminar classes via online format. And to answer that question, I'll tell you that we did act quickly as possible in March, and formed an ad hoc committee to begin investigating the feasibility of doing an online version of seminar. And at that time, we were in discussions with our hotel in Boston and discovered that we could save EGA hundreds of thousands of dollars of cancellation fees if we rebooked for a future year. So that was the choice that we made in April, was to rebook for 2023 and conduct the seminar in Boston at that location at that time. Janet, I believe that covers the questions that we had about National Seminar.
Okay, thank you very much. Jennifer Mullins, our treasurer, has 2 questions to cover.
Thank you, Janet. The first question was from Karen Nadu concerning the payroll protection program. She says, I don't recall hearing that EGA applied for a PPP grant last spring, although by my understanding, we were eligible. When Congress extends it again, will we apply? If not, why not? The payroll protection program was established to help small businesses that were adversely affected by the pandemic, to issue grants for payroll, utilities, and rent. The reason that EGA did not apply was that we had to certify that the funds were needed to maintain operations, which was not true in our case. We have healthy reserves. We did not need the money, and if Congress extends it again, we will not apply for the same reason. The second question was concerning the annual report from chapter treasurers, looking for guidance and how their income and expenses are affected by the pandemic. There is a document on the website called Chapter Region Financial Guidelines, and in that document are guidelines to preparing the annual financial report. Go onto the website, log in, go to document downloads, and it's there. If you can't do that or can't find the document, if you send me an email at treasurer@egausa.org, I will send a copy of the document to you. And the annual financial report should just reflect your actual revenue and expenses. We don't compare year to year. So how you're affected by the pandemic is how you're affected by the pandemic. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jennifer. And don't expect to get dinged because your expenses were higher than your revenues. A lot of us are in that boat. Georgianne Lane, you had one question.
Yes, so the question I had to do with how are chapters notified of changes in bylaws, and I'm just looking at the I'm unmuted, right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay, because it's still showing me that I'm need to be. The answer to that question is, and are we in agreement with the Robert's Rules of Order? So Robert's Rules of Order doesn't specifically speak to notice of bylaws changes. It says it's really up to the organization to establish their process of how they let the rest of the people, members, know what the changes are. So our process is that we vote at the annual meeting, the chapter representatives, for the changes in national bylaws. And once those changes are approved, And this year was as we did the ballot, approved those bylaws. Then, of course, people who are attending the meeting will be notified of that, and they will then also be changed on the website. There will be another place on the website where it says, these are the changes of the bylaws that we made in the this last year. So that's the process that we have.
Okay, thank you. Celeste, you have several questions in the education area.
Yes, I do. So the first question I have is, could we have small item online classes from EGA to supplement chapter education? So what I wanted to do is I just wanted to show you, if I can get it, just go to the next slide, is some of the things that we have. So we have several free projects, and primarily these have gone through the Facebook Stitch-along page that we have. But these are available for you to download and stitch on your own. We have lots and lots of petite projects in different techniques, including the landscape series. We have 4 documents in our technique basic series. So for example, we have our crewel and surface embroidery that was written by Judy Geroy, and an introduction to black work embroidery by Carolyn Standing Webb. So other options for you are our GCC lightning rounds, our online classes, and so on. So next question is, why are there so few new GCCs and other types of distance learning? So what I wanted to talk about for here is how we develop our group correspondence courses. So Judy Herrick, who is my GCC chair, she receives a proposal, she looks it over, and if she thinks it looks like a good proposal, she'll send it to me. And when we decide that we want to sign a contract, we do a development contract. Once the development contract gets signed, the teacher writes the course, and it has to go to the GCC editor. It goes back to the teacher for the teacher to make the edits to the course. Then it goes to piloting. It goes back to the GCC editor to have the edits that are needed. The teacher edits the course, and eventually the course is approved and the teaching contract is signed. In this process, the whole reason that we have this long process is to make sure that you as an individual taking the course as a lightning round, or you as a group taking the GCC as a group, can understand the directions for completing that project without needing the assistance of the teacher. This whole process takes normally 2 years to develop a course. Last year, we introduced GCC OnCourse. So our OnCourse courses are projects that were taught 5 years ago, 5 years minimum, at a national seminar. The reason that we are focusing on national seminars is because national seminars require teachers to pilot their courses. Once we sign the development contract, there are certain edits that the teacher will have to make to keep the course in line with our requirements for GCCs. It will go to, the teacher edits the course, it goes to the GCC chair, so it goes to Judy, and she looks to make sure that there's no editing. And when it passes Judy's eye, then we sign the teaching contract. This process takes considerably less time. We've been able to put some of the courses out in a 2-month time frame. So this year and last year, we released 3 new GCCs: English Summer by Cheryl Sharp, Sweet Bag Sewed with Gold and Silver by Melinda Sherbring, and Shimmering Dreams by Mona Hill. In the same time period, we've released 8 new GCC OnCourse: A Touch of Fall by Jane Ellen Baselwhite, Ancestry by Carolyn Standing Webb, and Cosmos by Kim Sanders, Desert Strands by Becky Autry, Fandango by Barbara Kershaw, Jacobean Fantasy by Kay Stannis, Mythical Merle by Barbara Kershaw, and The Princess and the Pea by Marianne Scholar. So you can see our process for getting courses out there takes quite a while if we go the traditional route, and less time if we go the Encore route. The development contracts that we are signing today for traditional GCC, you won't see those come out for another 2 years. My next question is EGA looking into offering online video classes or virtual tours of the EGA collection? So we do offer quite a few classes through Online Studio, and they follow what I would call a traditional online class, in that the written lessons are posted on the website for students to download. And all the students get added to a discussion forum. The questions go through the discussion forum where the teacher answers those questions. RAND provides technical assistance. We do suggest that the teachers provide links to video, but it's not required. So unfortunately, we do not have the resources, and by resources, I mean money, to have video-based classes that, for the lack of a better word, I would call the Craftsy model. Video-based classes are too expensive for us to produce without having to charge considerably more for those classes. Last year, we released 9 classes through Online Studio. This year, we're on track to have more of them. Janice Meyer is my chair. She's been really great about adding classes. And in fact, Margaret Bendig's class, Mexican Tiles, when the pandemic hit, I said, is there anything that we can add right away? And Janice is such a good team player that she found a class and we got it up and going right away. Typically, she'll have a month between when registration ends and the next class begins. But because of issues with teachers not being able to get supplies, she's had to extend that time frame between when registration ends and when the class starts to 2 months to make sure that the teachers can get the supplies needed for the kits. Now, these are the next classes that we have contracts for already. And you can see some of the classes have just started registering. And she's got plans for next year. She's pretty much booked up next year. So these are the next 3 classes that are going to be registering: Creme de la Creme, Geraniums, and Goldberg Bracelet. And then these are the 3 after that. Now, the second part of the question was about doing talks on the permanent collection. And it's funny because I had already been in talk with Gwen Nelson, who's our chair of the collection, about doing just that. What we're thinking about doing is having 30-minute talks via Zoom. We'll record the session, so anyone who can't be there live will be able to watch it later. And Gwen is thinking that she wants to do her first talk on Blackwork.
Thank you, Celeste. Thank you, Celeste. The classes coming up look absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for finding those. Beth Lindsay, you had several questions in the marketing membership area.
And I agree, Celeste. I love the classes that are coming up, and I've already taken advantage of the Remind Me feature that Rand set up so that I can remember to register. So yes, I have 5 questions that have come to me. 3 of them revolve around younger members, student members, resources for youth. So what I've done is I've kind of answered that in one grouping, if you will. So as many of you probably know, which is why we've gotten these questions, our youth membership program left a bit to be desired. So what we've done is we've pulled down any reference to our youth membership on our website, and it now will show as under construction with my email address in case anyone has specific questions. And we've done this to give us time to revamp the youth membership program. So what we're looking at, and again, this is in development, we're in early stages, but what we're thinking of right now is having youth membership at, yes, a reduced cost from what a full membership is. And this will cover up to college age students as well. For that, most likely they probably won't get Needle Arts Magazine, which truthfully, I don't think younger people are as interested in that hard copy magazine as we may be. So what we'll do instead is have a website page that they can go to, and we will develop specific projects that we think will be of interest to younger members that will be, you know, in some cases different from the rest of our classes that we're offering. It may also include an online meeting place or an online Zoom meeting for just younger members to meet virtually. Youth members will now receive the same new membership kit that we've developed as the rest of our membership. For a while, they were receiving something different. Once this program is all pulled together and in place, we will advertise it across all of our social media channels, as well as our non-member newsletter, as we do with all of our new programs. In addition to this new program, we continue to create and maintain a strong social media presence across Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. We work really hard with our advertising agency to create interesting content to draw anyone in of any age that has similar interests to what we have as an organization. So that is an answer to those first three questions. The next question was whether or not we could be renewing memberships online. That is actually, it seems like something that should be very easy to do, but it's really not, unfortunately. Because if you think about it, when you pay your dues to your chapter, part of those dues stay with the chapter, part go to the region, and then the rest goes to national. Those chapter and region dues are different across the country. It's not a flat fee. So it would be very difficult to be paying our dues through our website and then having national figure out what has to be reimbursed back to the regions and the chapters. What we have started to discuss is coming up with instructions to our chapters so that they can start to accept electronic payments, whether it be through PayPal or Venmo or some other type of electronic means. Because I think at the end of the day, what we're trying to get away from is having people write checks and the whole physical piece of that. And once again, if we're trying to appeal to younger people, having to write a check for something really seems quite antiquated to them. Last question was whether we would allow teachers to advertise on our website for classes that are non-EGA events. And we have had a few teachers come to us and ask us to do that. And right now we're working really hard to advertise all of our own events and all of our teachers that are teaching through us. And we really want to continue to keep that effort in that direction. And so that the advertising is bringing, you know, hopefully new members and higher visibility to our activities. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Now, we had several questions that concerned the EGA website. And if we'll put the spotlight on Rand, I believe that Rand has answered those questioners individually, but I've asked him to sum up the questions and the answers here so that everyone could hear the answers.
Yep. The first question has to do with the layout of the website. It says, my concern is the layout of the website and the limited reading area when scrolling. We have made some updates this year on eliminating the white space, some of the white space on the website. You may see a lot of you may have seen a lot of white space between a title and a subsection of the website. We have been working all year to make those spaces smaller so you can actually see content on the website at once. And something that we did also for that is we put all the content that our members and other people are looking for when they go to the website. We have made everything available on the new navigation, which is something we added this year. If you haven't tried it yet, you can just click on the navigation up there and it will show you basically everything that we have to offer at EGA, easy to access there. But we will continue working on the layout. Something to understand too is that while our website is a membership website, it's for our members too, our website is also one of our biggest marketing devices. So we also have content on the website look pretty because that's also what attracts new people to go and look at our website, look at our art and all that. The second question has to do more with documents and trying to find things on the website. This also has been affected by the navigation. So when you log in, everything that is members only will show up under members only on the top right of the website. But we are, again, working on also on the search. Earlier this year, we added a filter to the search. So if you go to the main search of the website and you're searching for the Who's Who directory, you can actually, on that search box, it will let you, after you search, it will let you filter by documents and it will show you only those documents or only blog posts that have that term that you entered there. That's the answer to that question. But please, if you have more suggestions, we have made a lot of updates on the website since we launched this iteration of the website. But the updates come because of comments by members. So if you have comments about the website, things that you like to see incorporated, things that you see that should work a little better, please email us using the contact form on the website, because we want to hear from you and we want to continue to make the website a place where you go to take classes and to communicate with other Stitchers.
Thank you, Rand. I received a request yesterday from Cheryl Christian, the editor of the Needle Art. So I'm relaying her request to chapters. Please continue to send the news of your chapter activities to Cheryl for publication. Writers, please send in your ideas for articles, your drafts for articles. And designers, as you may have noticed, we have decided to increase the number of designs published in each magazine publication issue, 2 designs plus the Designers Across America, the Designers Across the Water feature. We also decided last year to now pay designers for their designs. So if you have an idea for a design, please contact Cheryl Christian with that. Now I'm going to move on to recognition. We had 4 people this year become master craftsmen, and I would like to recognize them now, but I will also ask them to try and come to Chicago in 2021 so that we can give you the traditional long stem red rose that we give to people who complete the master craftsman. So the 4 who completed it this year are from Ann Arbor chapter, Great Lakes region, Amy Remillard in Counted Thread. From Midland Empire, Rocky Mountain region, Rosemary Denton completed color. A member at large from New England region, by that I mean she lives in the geographic region of New England, is Susan Mondabaugh, who completed Cruel. And another member at large who lives in the New England region is Diana Shepard, Counted Thread. I also want to recognize Scotty Erickstrup, Rose City Stitchers of Greater Pacific region, because she completed the Master Needlework Judge certification program. And from the Tennessee Valley region, a member who lives in that area, Rosemary Houston, completed her certification as an EGA appraiser. The gold thread winners, I'm going to read out the names of the individual region winners before I get to the national winner. As you know, the Gold Thread Award goes to a member who is nominated by her region as somebody who gives everything she can to the chapter, to the region, to the national organization. So this is a very prestigious award, and I hope you, when you see somebody that has won this, you give them your congratulations. From the Laurel chapter in the Carolinas region, Kathy Barker. From the Great Lakes region, specifically Columbus area chapter, Betty Clyde. From the Rose City Stitchers in the Greater Pacific region, Virginia Welch. From the Quinsippy chapter, Heartland region, Nancy Crow. From the Metropolitan region, specifically Schuylkill chapter, Jenny Thompson. From the Molly Pitcher Stitchers in the Mid-Atlantic region, Judith Herrick. From the Keystone chapter in the Mid-Eastern region, Judy Badger. From the Southern Maine chapter in New England region, Susan Allison. From the Channel Island region, Pacific Southwest region, Janet Burr. From the Sandia Mountains chapter in Rocky Mountain region, Ellie Ames. From the San Antonio chapter in South Central region, Joyce McCoy. From the Sand Dollar chapter in the Sun region, Abby Kaverick. And from the Louisville chapter in the Tennessee Valley region, Elise Lampton. Now, before I read out the national winner, I have been asked to read the nomination letter that accompanied her package. I am blanking out the name of the individual and the chapter and the region, but I'll bet most of you will have figured out the winner by the time I get to the end of this letter, but I will say her name anyway. Okay, blank has volunteered to be president of the chapter not once, but twice. She has held every office we have and completed the tasks with competence. She is the chapter's go-to resource for EGA knowledge. She is often the only person we have to ask if it's an embroidery-related question. If she doesn't know the answer, she knows who does. Through her networking and general embroidery knowledge, she has expanded the chapter's knowledge of stitching and been integral to growing our member skills. In the last year, she taught guild members to paper piece and bead, a bracelet during our programs, and has taught area children to stitch in 3 different community outreach classes. She is a champion for our guild. She forwarded our newsletter to the EGA board to show off a lovely poem about a national seminar one of our members wrote. She has encouraged our members to expand their stitching horizons and enter EGA award programs, lead chapter programs. She is a great formal and informal teacher. Over her many years of membership, I have lost count of the many programs and technique classes she personally taught. She is an active participant in all our stitch-ins. Her invaluable advice about stitches, resources, and completions. She has a great deal of patience, whether it's working with members one-on-one with a project or with small children learning how to stitch a bookmark. She's a predominant face of the guild when we stitch in public. She attends most of these events and is an excellent ambassador for the chapter and EGA. Her stitching and beading usually draw the public to our booth as she stitches a variety of eye-catching projects with obvious enjoyment. That excitement is charismatic. Several of her exquisite pieces have been displayed at various libraries in the city where the guild has been asked to provide displays. She has connections with national teachers and enabled that guild to bring them in. She has also shared her talents with the region, holding officers all the way up to region director and now assistant chairman to the region seminar in 2020. She has served national EGA on the Bylaws Review Committee, the Finance Committee, the Dean of Faculty for Seminar 2015, and served as EGA Secretary, foot stomp, until 2018. She is an active participant in chapter activities and does not miss a beat, even with the chapter, even with all her national responsibilities. She was the unanimous choice for this award when I polled my board. When I asked for their stories about our candidate, it was interesting to find their most prominent stories were not guild related, but focused on her spirit and her generosity. She has always guidance. She is there to be a sounding board or to give you an option you may never have considered. She is efficient, well organized, and guaranteed to hold a board meeting to 1 hour. She has enriched the lives of so many of our members as is an inspiration to all of us. And so it is with great pleasure that I announce the winner of the National 2020 Gold Thread Award from the San Antonio chapter in the South Central region to be Joyce McCoy. I now want to thank the outgoing national officers. And the 3 national officers who are leaving are going to leave a huge hole in my heart. And I know we've got great people coming in, but it has been a delight to work with the 3 of you. And I wish to thank Marnie Grayley, who is rotating out as vice president, Maria Hall, who's in a car driving from North Carolina to New York as we speak, and as secretary, and Georgianne Lane as the director of bylaws. I would like the 3 newly elected officers to raise their hands so that you can spot them on the Hollywood Squares layout. But before I swear them in, I want to give a heartfelt thank you to Adrian Meyer and the members of the nominating committee for seeking out and finding these qualified candidates, because these are very important positions. So at this time, I don't think you should stand, because then maybe we'd only see your stomachs. So stay seated, but you can raise your right hand. You can tell we're feeling our way through this process. Raise your right hand, and I'm going to read the oaths. At the end of the 3, I would like you to, in unison, respond, hopefully in the affirmative. Marge Kelly, as Vice President, you are responsible for the EGA regions and special events and work closely with the President. Kathy Melville, as Secretary, you are a keeper of the EGA records and recorder of the history of this administration. Kathy Weigel, as Director of Bylaws, you are responsible for ensuring the board and its committees follow EGA policy and our governing documents remain current. As elected officers and directors of the Embroiderers Guild of America, do you pledge to faithfully perform your duties of your office, to obey the bylaws and the standing rules of our organization, and to consider always the best interest of EGA?
I do.
I do.
You now hold these positions from today until the annual meeting in 2023.
Thank you.
And as being from South Carolina, all I can say is bless your heart. And thank you so much. I am now going to invite Linda Busalacci to take the floor.
Thank you, Janet. I just want to welcome everybody and invite everybody to join us at the 2021 seminar, The Magnificent Stitch in Chicago. We are thrilled EGA's website is live and currently taking registrations for seminar. The seminar will run from September 1st through September 5th of 2021. We have 33 teachers and 70 projects, including 4 mini classes on the evening of August 31st, hosted by the Great Lakes region. As of this morning, when we started this broadcast, we had 83 registrations so far. We will have the normal numerous activities for your enjoyment, the education exhibit, the merchandise night, meet the teacher, teacher's showcase, tours, a magnificent boutique from a local shop, the Inspired Needles, and of course, the new Golden Thread Award. Marnie has touched on this a little bit, but I just want to say one last thing regarding the virus. Be assured that we are making plans to ensure that any needed safeguards are in place for those attending the seminar if needed. We are looking forward to seeing all of you in Chicago next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, normally during the week of board meetings, I am at the location. I should be in Boston right now. And I am in the board meeting mode. And it has really been quite a disconcerting experience for me to be folding the laundry and washing the dishes and dealing with the stray dog that just turned up on the back porch, and then being here. But we are now adjourning this meeting, and I will go back and see what that dog is up to. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.